Now I have a floating light gray AK-47 right here. Is this what they mean by a ghost gun? Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to Tactical Review. So in the midst of both the nearly national stay-at-home orders now, thanks to COVID-19, and the ammo scarcity, thanks again to COVID-19, I decided to accelerate the timetable on a couple of non-shooting videos that I was planning anyway. So last week on the live stream, I debuted this here nifty foam dart gun with this paint job that I had trialed, and I really like the way most of it looks, except, you know, they're on the top. I struggle with overspray in places like that when I'm using mesh. So if you have some tips and tricks to doing paint jobs using mesh, laundry mesh bags and things like that, I would appreciate you dropping those down in the comment section. So now I'm going to show you the mesh that I had used on that dart gun, and I'm going to go ahead and link to that because if you like that pattern, I want to make sure you guys can get a hold of that. And that was done with this spider mesh right there. Like I said, I really liked the way that it looked, but when I attempted to recreate that paint pattern on one of my magazines, it just failed pretty spectacularly. So I decided to kind of drop back and punt. And if you're following the channel on social media, you saw that I posted some pictures of this magazine that I did using natural sea sponge. So I want to thank my dad for telling me to give sea sponge a try for camo patterns. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. And so today we are going to be painting our nifty hovering Palmetto State Armory GF3 AK-47. And guys, I apologize for the noise in the background. Out here in the garage, there's not a lot of insulation. And so you guys are going to probably hear all of the wonderful howling wind here today. So to get started with, I've already masked off the couple of things that I needed to. I've plugged up my muzzle brake. I have masked off the back side of my iron sights. You'll see that the red dot's back off of here. I've done that because I'm going to paint that separately because I do intend in the relatively near future to be putting a side mount, optic mount on this. So I'd like to have the rail already painted. I may still end up having to touch that up. The cool thing with a camo pattern like this is you can mask right around where you're needing to touch up and just do a small section and it will blend rather nicely. So let's get to it. On the AR-15 that I did for my first content video, I didn't have to do any kind of special priming because most of my layers with that color pattern were in fact primer. However, with this, I'm going to start with a coat of automotive primer. And once again, this surface has already been prepped. I gave it a good wipe down with 91% isopropyl alcohol. It felt like a weird flex given that some places this is hard to find right now. But I gave the whole thing a wipe down, and here's hoping that I don't have too much lint left over on there. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get a primer coat on here. And yeah, hopefully we're going to see how much I've learned about video editing in the last year. Maybe I can make this video a little bit more entertaining than the last. Had just enough primer to get a decent coat of primer on the whole rifle. We're going to give this time to dry, and I'll be back out here in a little bit to start doing our color coats. All right, second color coat. So now we have Ivan's rifle in a nice khaki business casual. So how do we get from this to this? We will be using, obviously, some OD green camo paint and a sea sponge. We're also going to need a piece of, well, you could use like some sort of dish or something, but I took a tip and I am using a piece of cardboard as like a painter's palette. As you may or may not know, a lot of times when sponges are dry, they get very tough. So I have just dampened this sponge through and then wrung it out really good to make it very pliable so it will conform to the different contours on the rifle. So obviously the various different sides are going to give us different possible stampings, if you will. I will probably continue to use this side, might use this side, and something you can do is obviously after you spray some paint onto your cardboard, you can test what those are going to look like. So the one that I had been using looks like, will give me some shapes like that. We can also use the opposite face and get some like that. So we'll probably go back and forth between the two, and we're just going to go all the way around this rifle. Well, I'm really happy with how this turned out. We're going to give this olive drab some time to dry. Okay, I think I've already mentioned this. If not, I'm going to go ahead and put a few coats of matte clear coat on this just to see if we can't improve the overall longevity of this finish. I'm not the most thrilled with the glossiness of the clear coat, even though it is a matte clear coat. That said, there are just, I think, some more exposed higher wear surfaces on the AK platform versus the AR platform. So I'm hoping that this will help a standard rattle can finish last a little longer. It may not. Down the road, I may end up wanting to do like an aluminum hide or actually get something like this Duracoated. We'll cross those bridges later. I can't think that there'd be anything else to say in between the various layers of clear coat, so I'm just going to kind of movie magic this all into one big montage. Enjoy. got this all done. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. We'll get some close-up shots and roll them in the outro. But I'm super happy with how the colors have turned out. Again, the clear coat's a little glossier than I would absolutely like, but I'm hoping that it will add to the durability of the paint job overall. And if you've been thinking about painting a rifle or a handgun or whatever, this just gives you one more way that you might consider doing that. Thanks for joining me in this one. If you'd like to pick up some channel merchandise, you can do that over on Teespring. You can get to the Tactical Review store by going to the link that's on screen. If you are not following the channel on social media, well, that's something you should be doing. You can do that using the usernames on screen. If you were following on social media, you actually got a sneak peek at this. And also on social media, you know, it gives us another good way to interact back and forth, not just me talking to you. It's also someplace where I can share political things that I find, maybe action items where it concerns our Second Amendment freedoms, and just all sorts of stuff. Well, thanks for watching. And if you appreciated the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you ring the notification bell so that you can see when we upload more content here at Tactical Review. And until next time, shoot straight, stay safe.